We're just having a breaking line that Iranian state media is now admitting that the Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. I think that's the first time we've heard confirmation from them. I mean, it's been confirmed by America and by the UK for several hours now, but how significant is it, Hillary, if the Iranian organisations now come out?
Well, better late than never. I mean, shouldn't they have been the first out of the gate to say it? I mean, when Fox News beats them in the US, it's a little bit pathetic. I think, obviously, I'm projecting here, or it's conjecture that they're embarrassed and this is humiliating, but they should have been first out of the gate to announce this, but it's true. And so your concern earlier, which was very pertinent, was that, what can we believe, and what is AI and what are true facts? Now this confirms what we have been told, and I'm glad it's true, because I think a man that's murdered so many has got his just desserve now.
Yeah. Let's go to Chief Intelligence Officer for Artorias, Stefano Dale. Stefano, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, I think I spoke to you only recently, actually. Tell us what you think about the events of today.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I think the strikes that we saw starting, almost 24 hours ago clearly indicate that the United States and Israel have decided to do what is now clear as regime change type of operations. And, I've kind of said this in a lot of areas, which is if the United States wanted and give President Trump, the military, basically options for President Trump to conduct regime change type of operations, these are the military assets that would be in theater to execute it. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And those are the operations. And now we see it now that you're breaking the story, the Iranian state media now confirming that the supreme leader is dead. That really puts a lot of problem sets into the command and control and the viability of the regime at the current moment.
And what will that command and control start to look like within the next few days, do you think?
You know what? That is the very interesting question. And we're getting a lot of conflicting reports there. I mean, I think one of your previous guests kind of alluded to this, is that the son clearly is kind of the favorite of the supreme leader to kind of be put in charge. There were reporting that he might have been one of the targets of the Israeli assassination campaign, but it doesn't look like they might have got him. But there's kind of a lot of confusion with this, with the supreme leader now, kind of killed. It would be interesting to see how the Iranian state media kind of portray who the successor is. But more importantly, we haven't really seen the president. There's reports that he was targeted as one of the assassination campaigns as well with the supreme leader. We haven't seen much from him. And although he's not a major player within the military command and control aspect, he's still the president of the country and has a lot of sway within the executive branch and the day-to-day operations of Iran. And it looks like the vice president might be trying to take more control. Outside of that, if you look at the military, the key ones you have to look at is not necessarily the regular military, which is the Aratesh, which is their normal military. It's more importantly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And one of the interesting aspects of the Israeli Defense Force, when they released the names of the commanders who were killed today, a lot of those commanders were actually appointed after the 12-day war because their predecessors were assassinated. And so they've been in the position less than a year, and then those successors have been assassinated. What it clearly demonstrates is that Israel and the United States have a very clear understanding of the command leadership of the IRGC. They know where they're at, and they're able to hit them when they decide to. And this just continues to show a degradation of Iran's military capabilities.
What was one of the most remarkable takeouts for me of the last hour and a half was our Iranian guest, who was talking about the fact that the Iranian people were not cowering as these missiles were dropped. They were out on the roofs of their buildings because they have so much faith in the American military to target the person of interest to them in this case. I mean, that's just remarkable. But as an intelligence expert, does that surprise you that the capabilities are that strategic and specific?
No, and somebody who myself personally have been kind of involved in the Iranian problem said, in previous positions that I've been, that's one of the key aspects. The United States intelligence community and intelligence assets have been tracking Iran for decades. I mean, this has been always one of the top priorities for the U.S. intelligence community, and all our capabilities from a signal intelligence, a human intelligence, satellite imagery has always been a focus. And these are the results we're seeing. And then the strike packages when basically we talk about this is basically what the U.S. and Israeli military have targeted, those are continuously refined and planned and developed 24/7, 365. So when the president ever gets the order, those are the best target packages and the best options that the president can have and the military can execute for maximum success. And that's what we saw today. What I would commend, I think, one of the interesting aspects is the synergy and the interoperability of both the Israeli Defense Force and the U.S. military and U.S. Central Command. One of the things we saw during the first Trump administration is they moved Israel from the U.S. European Command to the U.S. Central Command. And I think that was a phenomenal decision because now the ability for both militaries to conduct joint military operations are being executed flawlessly right now.
Fascinating. Thank you so much, Chief Intelligence Officer for Artorias, Stefano Rittendale there. Thank you, Stefano, for joining us. Right, let's go now to Senior Research Fellow in Naval Warfare and Advanced Technology, Brent Sadler, friend of the show. Brent, so nice to see you. Thank you for your company this evening. So, a successful day, it looks like. I mean, by any definition, a successful day for President Trump to destabilize Iran and to take out one of the world's most wanted men.
Absolutely, and hopefully the other senior leadership that were taken out, by some accounts up to 40, but at least the names and the leadership positions that are being confirmed clearly indicate that the IRGC, the Basis, these are the groups that maintain the control of the regime both at home but also control the proxies overseas, is severely degraded and loosened, giving the Iranian people perhaps an opening to take back their country. But at least in the next few days, it makes it more likely that U.S. forces, Israeli forces, and what appears to be a growing coalition of other countries that have been attacked, joining in to continue to degrade Iran's military capabilities and their missiles.
What do you make of the fact that Iran also hit out at Bahrain, at Jordan, at Kuwait, at Qatar, Brent? That looked like, I mean, they look like suicidal missions to me today. I couldn't quite understand the logic behind them doing that. Why would they do that?
Well, I think this proves the point for decades that everyone has been warning that this regime is irresponsible and dangerous. Not only is it a terrorist organization, then claiming to be a nation state, but it's a theocratic dictatorship with, very nihilistic views of the world. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they could do the same thing that we're seeing with these ballistic missiles. But I think it's also an indication of the success of this decapitation attack, because none of these attacks appear to be guided by any strategic thinking or thought or even tactics. It's really just lashing out.
With the potential of killing British citizens, American citizens, and therefore, is that, on Iran's part, is that actually intending to escalate the situation?
Well, I think it looks more and more like desperation and simply using it while they've got it, so to speak, before Israeli or American fighter jets find them and destroy their missile launchers, taking a shot at any target that they can more than any type of strategy, is that however far misguided as it might be or self-destructive. Now, you can take out individuals, as we've seen. We saw it in Venezuela as well, and we know that America can do this, but can they change the regime, Brent, without boots on the ground? What I'm saying is there's only so much you can do with missiles. At some point, there's going to have to be, surely, American troops in there whipping that new regime into shape. Well, I don't think there needs to be a heavy American hand to ensure that there's a new regime that rises on the ashes of the current one, that's one in which Israel, the United States, and Western powers could live safely with. Much like what's happening in Venezuela. This is not the U.S. marching the Marines into Caracas and dictating the terms of a new government and installing a favored candidate. It's allowing the Venezuelan people to pick, using their own constitution to do so. We'll see when those elections occur, which they should in the very near future. But Iran, a little bit worse off because they don't have a constitutional or democratic structures, because they've been brutalized for 47 years by this theocratic regime. It's going to take time, of course. It's going to be messy. But at the end of the day, and all throughout, it's for the Iranian people to decide what their future is going to be
And what President Trump and the Israelis have provided is an opening, an opportunity that they need to seize to take back their country.
We've just got a new line broken just now, Brent, which is the Iranian state media is telling us that they've announced 40 days of public mourning announced in Iran after Khamenei's death. Presumably the Iranian people will just say, no, we're going to carry on playing our music, dancing on our streets, and so be it.
I think I would expect that. In fact, reports are leaking out of just that occurring. Again, at great death and I guess peril to those on the streets right now celebrating the demise of this regime. So 32,000 of them were killed already for protesting against it last month. So we'll see. But again, it's an opportunity for the Iranian people to seize, and not something for the United States or outside powers to dictate or choose.
Yeah. Okay, Brent, thank you so much. Brent Sadler, there, Senior Research Fellow in Naval Warfare and Advanced Technology.